could see. The other side of the mountain was all that he could see. So he went back over the mountain to see what he could see. The other side of the mountain was all that he could see.
Hello, welcome back. Another episode of Punks and Pinfalls. This is Gigi, joined as always
C-Dub.
And let's just jump right into it. Also joined by some special guests that are no strangers to the Rockstar Pro Podcast Network. We have SG1 in the house.
What's up?
And you know him as the man simply known as Michael, or you may know him as rock promoter Ben Parker.
Hello, kids.
So we got them in the house because we want to talk about Ludus.
Yes, let's talk about Ludus.
So last episode we wanted to chime in and talk about Ludus a little bit, and we ran out of time, so we said, all right, this episode is going to be all about Ludus. And last month's Ludus was a big success. And for those who don't know, first off, Ludus is a term for is an ancient Roman term for a school. And the Ludus gladiatorius was where young men would go off to train for combat, learn to become a gladiator. So we've had this concept in the back of our head for a while to do sort of an offshoot show to give the younger talent more ring time and let them grow. You know, when you have talent like Dave and Jake Christ and Aaron Williams and Alex Colon and Dustin Reyes, and there's all these amazing guys on the Rockstar roster, you know, it's like it's hard for some new young guys to get the spotlight on them sometimes.
Especially when you're a guy not from the area or like you're from out of state.
Yeah, people have no idea how often we get hit up for bookings. There's indie wrestlers try to come to Rockstar all the time.
Yeah, and especially if it's a guy, you watch his video or whatever, and you think, oh, this guy's really good, I like his gimmick and everything, but nobody knows who he is. You know what I mean? So kind of basing the show around the concept that these are all new guys, and you can help us pick which guys.
That's the exciting thing about Ludus. Like, everyone that wants to come in through Rockstar, and there's a lot of guys that do, they all enter through Ludus. You can see somebody's first step in Rockstar at these shows, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. And the last Ludus show we had was awesome. Great crowd, and what I wanted to happen in the fact that Ludus was different than Rockstar. Both shows were great, but they're two different shows. And the Ludus, what did happen, what also I thought was going to be cool, if it happened, was that some of the veteran guys from Rockstar and everything kind of like help judge, this new talent, and I think the crowd even kind of looked at the guy because everybody was kind of in the back, on where the commentators normally is, because in Ludus we don't have commentators, we don't film it. It's just what's
just for the live arena
is there.
There's one way to see it, and just
that's
be there
it.
at the shows.
So there was actually a handful of our roster who are veterans who were there to watch and everything, and they got into it because they don't get to watch wrestling, and that's what's weird is indie wrestlers, you love wrestling, but you don't ever get to watch wrestling.
Yeah, you never get to just be a fan. You never get to just sit back and really enjoy somebody else's match.
Think about that. When's the last time some of these guys that sat back and watched a wrestling match?
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about Ludus. All these guys, we keep it. You can probably say, "Oh, it's bullshit." They probably knew ahead of time who they were going to choose.
I can honestly say that night,
that did not happen.
Did not happen.
What you're going to see on these shows is genuine. Who the fans choose, and who we decide by the fans choosing who's going to stay and who's not. It's totally.
Before we go any further, let me just put over the whole reason that SG1 is in the house for this episode about Ludus is because at the beginning of the show I said this is something that Chad and I have been talking about since the inception of Rockstar, and it was SG1 who sort of came on board and championed this cause and made it his baby, and he's sort of the general manager of Ludus, if you will. And so I just wanted to put over Gary for what a great job you're doing.
Thank you. I'd like to have a better name. Maybe the, what would I say? The master of the supreme.
You just told a shit on the creativity. He's so creative. You're like, my name,
the most creative name I could come up with. Just call me SG.
All right, we'll get back to you on that one. All right. But Ludus was cool because we had a lot of guys that are on the roster who are, I would say, are veterans and could watch it. And they kind of had their group in the back, almost how it would be in Gladiator days. You had this group of warriors in the back are just like, who the hell is these kids? And
Right.
you know, like, booing and cheering. And then, you know, and Jake and I had our little side judges table, and everybody, newer guys came past the table and like tried to talk for a second, trying to get you know, work.
Well, I mean, like in Vince McMahon, all them all called this the era of realism. Like that's the new,
the reality
thing.
era.
So in reality, the backroom, locker room that you would hear the jokes behind, like, "Oh, who's this fucking kid?" or was next to you, in front of you. So you got to communicate with the guys you look up to as being strong, great character, great wrestlers. Being associating with you and being with you, so the crowd and the veterans became one. But you also got to see the reality of like, oh no, this kid's all right, but like a funny joke, because a lot of wrestlers, we know our friends and family, we call them. It's a very funny sense of humor behind the locker room sometimes.
Yes.
And you got to be part of that culture somewhat as an audience member.
Ludus was a great point of the guys from Rockstar veterans could be fans and watch a show with the fans without them actually crossing the lines.
There were guys who were just there, again, for those who weren't at the first show, it was set up very Coliseum-like. Something just crashed in the studio. Where we would literally, you know, Gary, C-Dub, myself would grab the mic and say, all right, Rockstar Nation, thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think of that? What'd you think of that match?
We even had moments where veterans would like, I thought he should be gone, and another guy would be like, no, he should be here. We almost had fights.
We're having a mission. Live, you know. That's like what it is. We're not deciding, predetermined who's going to be staying, who's not. You're seeing it happen live.
And I think like it was sometimes the crowd may have felt a little awkward, and it was a good thing a veteran was there to kind of like, no, you can do this, because as a wrestling crowd, you're kind of told, well, we do listen to you, but we make our own decisions. No, this was all letting the crowd have their voice and be opinionated, and a company going right up front, going, we're going to listen to what you tell us to do. Some, you know, with this company to have your voice heard. So, in a sense, this is a company really is for the people to get to the next level. You know, so I think the crowd at first was kind of taken back a little bit by, because they're like, holy shit, they're going to listen to us.
Like I was saying, the feeling is like, oh, well, they've kind of determined already before we even say anything that who's going to stay and who's not. But, like, let me tell you, like, we're watching the fans as we're watching these matches. Like, who's getting the best reactions, you know, who are the fans responding to.
If they totally shit on somebody, the chances of them coming back are pretty low.
Yeah, and the Rockstar crowd is brutal. For anyone who's never been there, like, we have the most rabid fans who they're tough on new talent. If they don't know who you are, they are just against you from the start, and you've got to win them over.
Pre-talk show, whoever it was, you know, came in. I was like, our crowd, they're rough. They will tell you they don't like you, and don't think it's the end of your career. Just, you know, go and prove
you have to work hard and win the crowd over.
And there was a couple guys that had long faces coming back. Like, holy shit! Like, I just got booed.
It was perhaps not quite used to performing for a crowd.
There was even I like the experience that we had one guy, Von Boogiemeister, that our crowd was kind of 50-50, but towards the end they kind of like were booing him. So I, as one of the guys in charge that night, said, sorry, you're not going to make it. And our fans through Facebook and stuff said, hey, no, I think we really like this guy. Can you bring him back?
Fans got very passionate.
They did. And so we had a little meeting, and we're like, okay, we'll bring him back, because they thought about it. You know,
this is no bullshit. We called an emergency meeting based on Otto von Boogiemeister. Because it caused such a rift among the fans in Rockstar. Very passionate about Mr. Boogiemeister.
Yeah.
So he gets his second chance coming up.
It was a great feeling, like when I was in the ring asking the live crowd, and you can feel the shift in the room, and half the room's like, screw that guy, and half the room's like, nah, he had talent, I'd like to see him again. And it's just such a great feeling to, like, it's so organic. It's so
that's what's beautiful about pro wrestling. Like, you can do so many different arts, you know, you can write a book, whatever, and you have to wait for the reaction to come back. Pro wrestling, like, it's instant. Like, you get the reaction right then. But especially with something like this, we're asking your opinion, and we get to see it literally with a thumbs up or thumbs down right there.
It had a great, like, gladiatorial feel to it. You know, I mean, you had the old warriors in the back watching it and giving their input, and then you had the crowd, like, feeding off them a little bit, and them thumbs up, dude, we're looking out of a crowd of people, and like their thumbs up or thumbs down was like awesome, you know?
Right, it definitely was. It definitely
And
was.
most of the roster, guys like Von Boogiemeister and some of the other new talent that debuted, they had the
Rex
deck stacked-
Ultima.
Rex Ultima. A lot of those guys had the deck stacked against them because most of the matches were somebody that has been established and been at Rockstar, and the Rockstar crowd were familiar with them and knew them, versus brand new talent. Right. So of course they immediately get behind the Rockstar guy.
Yeah.
So a lot of the fans wanted to cheer for Sid because they see him every week and they know who Sid is.
He's a hometown guy.
So it was like guys like Mr. Sleaze.
Yes.
People really liked him.
Mr. Sleaze, Eric Thompson, coming all the way from North Carolina.
Yeah. And that's
against Joshua Singh, like two guys that hadn't been before Rockstar, and they even with that, they had that match stacked against them. Two guys they don't know shit about you.
No, they don't know shit, but they
had to work hard, extra hard, to get the Rockstar Nation's
the crowd. The crowd liked them by the end of their match.
Definitely did. I took the vote live right after the match. Both guys, Rockstar Nation, wanted them back.
Yeah,
so they will be back.
And I think it's one of the cool things about Ludus. There's so many people who contact us. We try to wean it for the Rockstar Friday shows, and especially when you got guys like Shane Douglas or Kevin Sullivan calling you, and you're a guy just starting out in New York. Who am I gonna?
Yeah, you're gonna go with who you heard.
I don't want to be an asshole, but who am I gonna book? I got Kevin Sullivan on our phone, or I got Alex Mason on the phone.
Yeah.
So the one thing about Ludus that's awesome is the amount of people from different states. There were 3 guys from New York for the next Ludus show.
For this particular show,
Carolina.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
And this is no bullshit either. The line of guys that want to come into Rockstar is going across the United States. We're already thinking about the June show, and there's guys from Philadelphia that want to come down. First show we had guys from South Carolina, North Carolina. There's a long list of guys dying to prove themselves to the Rockstar Nation.
Especially if it's once a month, you got 12 shots a year at max to try to get your foot in a door.
Right.
And one thing I think we should touch on is it wasn't even just rookies that nobody's heard of. You had the Man Scout Jake Manning debuted at Ludus.
Right, had an amazing match with the baddest man alive.
That was a great match. Actually, was
amazing main event.
So.
Yeah,
it
was good. It was really good.
And then Gregory Iron again.
Oh yeah, Iron Curtain.
A name in the wrestling industry. People who follow indie wrestling are usually familiar with him, and
he received the "Please come back" chant.
Yeah,
even as jerky as he was.
If I can say this, despite being a dick.
Yes.
Received the "Please come back."
The fans loved him, and then of course he turned on them.
Yeah.
But they really had a mixed reaction by the end of the night because they're like, "Well, we respect you, but man, you're a jerk.
You're a good wrestler. God, you're an asshole." But he's
Gregory Iron with his personal security team.
Yeah.
Levi Connors and Alex Daniels.
Huge guys. Especially
Alex Daniels.
Yeah.
Nice. Dude's huge.
Oh, and what's funny is I don't think people realize Levi Connor, local Midwest kid. We've seen him at Rockstar before. People don't realize he's a pretty big boy.
Yeah.
Just this past week on Amped, seeing him in the ring against Chimera and
Craven.
Yeah, you're like, wow, he's as taller than these guys.
Yeah. And we had talked before that we thought he was a great wrestler. He had all this stuff, but he really didn't have attitude. And since the Iron Curtain, he's got that attitude. Man, you're wrecking the place.
You know what it is? It's C-Dub's Granny Walker. He's recuperating from...
I've moved up from the Granny Walker. I got a pro...
he's recuperating from a surgery, and his old lady Granny Walker was behind me and just crashed. So that's what that was.
We could, in the 80s, how many times do you think something like that was used as a gimmick?
Yeah, I'm sure ECW probably saw many of those in the 80s.
Right, even before that, probably legit grannies that really got into the wrestling.
Yeah.
The heels with the cane.
Yeah. I used to love that, seeing the 70-year-old women taking a swing on a 25-year-old.
Yes, there's definitely been some Russians had some Granny Walkers pointed at them in the 50s. I'm guaranteeing that. So, but yeah, let's just go into some highlights of the next Ludus show.
Yeah, the upcoming Ludus, the second installment, because you fans demanded it, because everyone had such a great time and it had such a great reaction. We're bringing you Ludus again. And the plan is for it to be a monthly thing as sort of the alternate between iPay-per-views.
Yeah.
Every month we have the big Friday show. It's almost always the first Friday of the month. And that's when we tape our iPay-per-view. That's our big event. That's the title matches, the big crazy gimmick matches, the guest stars. Like, those are amped times 10, you know.
When the real shit goes down.
Yeah, it's a big event on the monthly shows. And the fans say, oh, Wednesday nights are awesome, but some people say, oh, I gotta work, and I got school, oh, I love AMP, but it's hard to make it on a weeknight.
Let me give everyone a little advice really quickly. Fuck school and fuck work, and come to wrestling.
It's 2 hours.
That's my life advice.
You know, you go home, you're gonna fucking watch some dumbass sitcom on TV. What the fuck you do? Why don't you just come down and have...
Turn off the E channel.
Just have some beers. Or you're going fucking Facebook for 2 hours. And play
people like to go out on a Friday night.
Yeah.
You know, so that makes it more of the party atmosphere.
Yeah,
you know, we had liquor at the last Ludus. We were planning on having liquor at this Ludus. Come and have some drinks.
I think why we're having 2 also is because the first one a lot of people might not remember. So.
Yeah, there are some
including members of the Rockstar Pro office and Rockstar Pro locker room.
You already had one?
I love being in meetings where, match 5. Remember that kid was real good? No, actually, no.
Bang, let's shoot on him. We'll find out if Jake Chris listens to the podcast.
This is the litmus test right here.
Yeah, so the fans who were live in the arena, you saw that Jake was one of the special guest judges, sitting up at the little judging booth with C-Dub most of the night.
Half the night.
Well, yeah. The first half of the show. Because, as you all know, they had a long rivalry.
Yeah.
Jake and C-Dub didn't always see eye to eye, didn't always agree on business. And,
well, sitting at a table with whiskey will solve a lot.
yeah, so they were sort of mending fences and broing down.
It got bro, yeah.
And
real bro.
C-Dub got the former Rockstar Pro champion very drunk. But again, it's part of the party atmosphere.
Oh, yeah. I did not get drunk at all. I didn't touch anything.
I mean, the kings or emperors, whatever, would have like their best soldiers or warriors or generals there.
Yeah, they'd be drinking that wine.
Yeah.
This is definitely a different vibe as opposed to the regular Rockstar. GG, you'll probably like this. This is the Earth 2 to the regular Rockstar Earth.
Oh, yeah, great analogy.
It's a whole different multiverse.
Yes, it's a different world. And you'll see the young up-and-coming talent, the graduates of the Rockstar Pro Academy, and a lot of familiar faces that you see on Amped and on the iPay-per-views, but they'll be facing all new talent. This is, as Gary has so eloquently put so many times, like, this is the proving ground. This is the gateway to Rockstar.
So is this the SmackDown or the Heat?
Well, it depends on what year it is. If you remember when Paulie was running,
Maybe more like Superstars. It's more like the Superstars. I mean,
we need a kazoo or something when he says something like that.
Yeah, we need some little sound effect.
We're just silent for a minute. Like,
but we got some great matches for the next Ludus show.
Yeah, the upcoming Ludus, May 15th. As we're recording, it's a week from tonight, but as you're listening to this week, May 15th, 5/15/15, Ludus. Great card. We're going to see familiar faces such as Big Jim Hutchinson, but we're also going to see, some new talent to Rockstar, Dale Patricks, and you'll see Otto von Boogiemeister getting a second chance because we listened to you. And already announced for the card, we're going to see Lennox Norris, the bronzed one. We've seen him at Rockstar a couple times. He will be in facing the man without fear, Kyle Maverick, who the Rockstar Nation loves to hate. It's amazing the reaction that man gets when he picks up a microphone. They hate him with...
Genuinely hate him.
Yeah, I think they genuinely hate him.
They hate him with the fire of 1,000 suns. But also on the card, Jeff Holloway in his Rockstar trial match. Again, the gateway. You want a shot at Rockstar? You want to be on our roster? You want to get a chance to be on Wednesday Night Amped? You want to get a chance to be on our TV show? Get a chance to be on the iPay-per-views and DVDs? Come to Ludus and prove yourself.
Yeah, and Holloway's been one that we've kind of had, on our list to bring in at some point, and this kind of sped him being able to be brought in.
And he'll be facing a familiar face to the Rockstar Nation, Diamond Cut Ace Perry, who pretty boy who recently realized that he was so pretty and has recently been a little full of himself. And the fans used to love Ace Perry, and they've recently turned on him. So it'll be interesting to see how the fans go in that matchup. We're also going to see Alex Mason out of New York. He'll be coming in facing Caleb Conley, another name on the indie circuit. Those who are wrestling geeks like us are familiar with him. So that's going to be a hell of a match. And I believe that's the scheduled main event, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hey, Caleb Conley, no bullshit, one of the top indie guys working today. Like, if you never had the pleasure of seeing him live, you're definitely in for something. And don't count Alex Mason out either. Like you said, House of Glory Wrestling School, Amazing Red does the training down there. We also got a couple other trainees from
the Falcon Corps.
Yes, coming down.
And they will be facing the Dravens.
The Dravens. There's not just one, there are two Dravens currently. If you're following Rockstar.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see Jared Harris. Wasn't he like pile driven on his head or something?
He's been hit with chairs
He was,
times.
They're facing the High Life, and he got drove into a chair.
Yeah, so it was the High Life's big crazy move. Their big double team onto a chair. That was the start of it.
And
lately,
got a tad bit stupid.
he hasn't been a little off.
He hasn't been right.
He's been a little strange, and he started dressing like Draven, and he started painting his face, and now he's gone so far as wearing a Draven wig. And he's emulating Draven's moves in the ring, which is making for some very good double teams.
Yeah. It is, actually.
They're actually gelling as a team for the first time. You know, they've always been the odd couple, and they haven't really always seen eye to eye, and that's cost them matches sometimes. And, it's been very entertaining to watch the evolution of the Dravens.
Yeah.
And you gotta wonder where all this is going. It's like a Highlander. There can be only one.
Was it more like single white female?
Explain that.
He stalks one and
Okay.
Oh, he becomes him.
Yeah,
He has been
God, Gary.
He has been acting pretty weird, so you don't know what's gonna happen.
And then another matchup on the card. Two faces that are very familiar to the Rockstar fans. Living Large, Bradley Abrams of the High Five and Fat Guys, a graduate of the Rockstar Pro Training Academy, facing Samantha Heights. Mm-hmm. Bradley basically put out an open challenge. Anyone who, he wanted a match on Ludus, and he said, hey, who wants to face me at Ludus? And Samantha Heights, the baddest Sam alive.
Well, I think she could take him, though.
Yeah,
I don't really think it's a fair fight, and I don't mean by the way people would think.
It's going to be interesting.
She carries a knife and shit, though.
She is a little crazy.
And he is fat, so he's just got to run in and out of the ring a few times. Hopefully she's got better cardio.
Oh, I guarantee she's got better cardio than him.
His training consists of pizza and donuts. And
I'm sure they worry for the health of one of them, and it's not her.
He lives the gimmick. He is the high five and fat guy.
And I don't know if you've been watching Bradley on social media. He's been wrestlers always hype their matches, right? You know, if they've got a big pay-per-view match or a big match coming up, you'll see them posting on Facebook and Twitter, such and such date, I'm facing such and such guy, like this match, don't miss it. And he's been promoting that he has a hot date with Samantha Heights.
What?
And
he was actually sweating a little bit the other day talking about it.
He said he's going to get her flowers, and he bragged about at a different time they were in the ring together. He says that he got to second base with her.
What? Second base?
Like, there was some inappropriate touching.
Yeah, what is second base with him? We need clarification.
Could this match next week lead back to second base? You'll have to be there to find out.
So, a hell of a card coming up this Friday, May 15th at Ludus. Again, the proving ground. We say who will become a rock star and who will be fed to the lions. Mm-hmm. And you, the Rockstar Nation, the live audience there that night, decides everyone's fate.
Yeah. You truly do get fed to the lions. Not only will the crowd give you shit, but you have a wall of other guys on the roster that will firmly give you shit.
And no pressure, right?
Yeah, no pressure.
I'm all in favor of getting live lions if we can arrange that. And have the wrestlers.
Yeah, it really is like lining up in front of the firing squad. If you trip, you stumble, you hit a move that doesn't look that pretty, any little thing, any little chink in your armor, the Rockstar Nation will rip you apart because they have a high.
kudos to the guys that came out of that, though. Like,
Yes,
Rex Altman,
yeah.
like,
Because the Rockstar
all that
Nation has high
pressure-
standards.
Right, all that pressure from the fans, from the other guys watching you, and like you managed to like make an impression still. Like Rex Altman, he's been in the mix for.
Still hasn't got a
haircut.
haircut though.
Well,
They
the
demand him to cut his hair, and he didn't
conditions
do it.
was to get his haircut, but he's refused.
But he's from space and shit, so like being a barber is hard in space, you know. Like you're fighting planets and shit. I mean,
But the
like,
guys that came out of that pressure cooker, like kudos to them, right?
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, definitely. Well, this we got concerts coming up and stuff. You want to start give us a couple dates, some concerts?
Oh yeah, all this wrestling.
Yeah.
We also have two big shows coming up in June. June 18th. Anyone of a certain age remembers when this song was
What
a
certain
huge
age is that?
hit. The 30-somethings.
30-something.
The 30-somethings. You know,
Yeah.
people who people who remember the 90s.
Is that like a PC way of saying you're old?
Well, yes. You know, because in the rock concert world, you know, it's usually a young man's sport. But
Yeah.
but you know, a lot of people get old and fat and have kids, and it's harder for them to get out and see concerts as often. You know, it's rough. You know, you
Hard
have
times out there.
real life and responsibility. You don't get to go as many concerts as you did when you were in college. But anyway, for us old guys, here who are in that age bracket I'm talking about, we remember when MTV actually played this bizarre little weird hybrid comedy metal band, Green Jello. Spelled jelly, but pronounced jello because of a weird lawsuit. But yes, they actually got sued by the Jello Corporation. They had to alter their name. That's how big they were at one point. But this band, if you've never seen Green Jello live, their show is amazing. It's, you know, the closest thing I can compare it to is maybe like Guar or something like
it's
that.
definitely like a live
Very
show.
theatrical and costumes and
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
and it all plays out like a big rock opera. And they're a fun time.
Let me give you a little factoid about Green Jelly. They've had 83 members in the band. I don't think all 83 will be at this show, but throughout the course of their career, 83 different members have played in Green Jelly.
That would be a huge bus, 83 people.
Well, I don't know if we can necessarily afford to pay 83.
Little pig, let me in. If you remember that crazy video with the claymation.
It's gonna be a real fun
Absolutely.
night, though. It's definitely gonna be a real fun
There's
night.
the famous story when they were opening up for the Ramones, and they had their gear in front of the Ramones, and that's back when their shows were like people would bring like hefty trash bags full of Jello to the show and like throw it and stuff. And suppose the Ramones, after the Green Jelly got them playing, Ramones was like, "Who the fuck was that? They just destroyed everything." It was Green Jelly.
Definitely be a good night. Definitely gonna be.
But yeah, so June 18th, Green Jello or Jelly, however you want to pronounce it. And local support that's a hell of a show just by itself. Without Green Jelly, you have Bearer of Bad News, Deuterus, Abertooth Lincoln, and Chubb City. That's going to be a great concert. It's Thursday, June 18th. And I have a Green Jello story. I played with Green Jello a while back. They were touring with Nashville Pussy. And my band, the Jackalopes, got approached to play with Nashville Pussy, and we were like, hey, we like Nashville Pussy, we'll play that show, sounds fun. And then we find out Green Jello were main support touring with them. And for me, I hadn't been following them, and I was like, wow, that's kind of an odd tour, that's a weird package. And a couple local bands open, my band plays, and then Green Jello hits the stage, and the crowd is rabid, and the crowd is singing along and going crazy, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that they still had such a strong, passionate following.
Right.
And truth be told, when headliner Nashville Pussy went on, the crowd thinned. Because there were Green Jello fans who just came to see Green Jello, and they left.
That first album they had is a classic. You got Toucan, Son of Sam,
Yeah.
Obey the Cow God. Tremendous songs on that.
I played Bear. That was the beginning of the show. Was Bear.
The Bear Went Over the Mountain.
Yeah.
I think they're one of those bands that are more of like a performance art thing than actually, you know.
Yeah, not to compare them again to like Gore, but they were like Gore was, where you have to go. It's a show, you know, like
It's an experience.
yeah, you're going to not just listen.
Fun, comedic, theatrical, metal rock opera.
No, it'll be good. And tickets are always available at rockstarproarena.com. Go to the website and get information and ticket links. And
And
all
then
that stuff.
we'll do another little plug for Ludus because we've already penciled in the date. The next day, Friday the 19th, will be the third installment of Ludus. So,
Tremendous.
but concerts keep on rolling. That Saturday, what an action-packed week that is. Think about that. Wednesday night Amped, Thursday night Green Jello, Friday night will be another Ludus, Saturday night will be Farewell My Love, Famous Last Words, Sycamore, and It Lives, It Breathes. That's the, what are they calling that? The Tours from the Crypt Tour?
Yeah.
Local support, Glass World, and Hunter's Chase. So action-packed, 4 back-to-back days, wrestling rock. It's going to be a crazy week.
I think after that weekend, I was asleep for about a week.
It'll be good times. Good times. But yeah, and again, just go to rockstarproarena.com and hit the concert tab, and there's website or links to purchase tickets and information if you need to know where the club is and all that stuff.
Everything. Our website got a makeover a while back, so kudos to our webmaster. RockstarProArena.com and RockstarProWrestling.com. Both sites have everything. There's links to buy tickets to the concerts. There's all your updates for everything going on in the rock and roll world coming to the arena, and then a little bit about wrestling, but it links to RockstarProWrestling.com for all of your wrestling news, and the website gets updated at least once a week. There are brand new headlines with a recap from Amped and pay-per-views. Sometimes, depending on what's going on, it gets updated more often than that. There's always pay-per-views available there. There's old pay-per-views you can go back and watch.
Podcast you can listen to.
Right here, our podcast right now. Links from RockstarProWrestling.com.
There's all kinds of stuff to entertain yourself with. So we'll jump back to some wrestling news.
Yeah, how about some around the world of professional wrestling outside of Rockstar?
We need some like little breaking news here. So a couple of things I thought was interesting is the Riviera in Las Vegas, which hosted Glow.
Gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
Yes, which I watched it. I know everybody here watched it. It was very
tremendous.
It was women's wrestling, but it was like they had like I remember skits and stuff and like
and songs,
and that's what made it cool was like the little side skits and like
it was different.
It was different.
If no one's ever really know what it is, go to look up the Glow Wrestling documentary. It's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
I know Netflix carries it.
It's really very, very interesting. If you've never heard of it, it's a crazy story.
It is because only a couple of them were actually athletes, and they just like got some that were actresses, some were.
And they had like nannies. They had to be in the room by like 10 o'clock. The heels couldn't talk to face. It was really
No, it's very that documentary is it's a really great.
It's on YouTube. Just look up Glow Wrestling documentary.
Yeah,
I would say Dave McClain from Glow was a fucking genius. I love that man.
It was good stuff.
You know, the one name that came out of Glow was Ivory.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ivory started on Glow and then had a great career in WWE.
And didn't Sylvester Stallone's mom own like part?
Yeah, she was
a manager.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
So the Riviera in Las Vegas, which hosted Glow, actually finally closed down,
That's very sad.
and will be imploded during this summer at some point. It'll be imploded, not exist anymore. So.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah,
It was
sad.
one of the last ones too. It's like 60 years that's been there.
Yeah, I think it was because Glow was the 70s, I think?
Early 80s.
Early 80s. Okay.
80s.
I think 60 years at Riviera. That's one of the last ones that
Oh,
be there.
if you go to the Riviera's website, like Vegas one, the list of people who performed there is
it's
ridiculous. I mean, I don't want
A
to
lot
go
of
through the
history
list.
there.
the Rat Pack, all kinds of shit.
Name them, they were there. You know, like so. Yeah, it's sad about that. And then some other news is that I thought this was kind of funny. Is there was a rumor that Charlotte, I hope this rumor was so true though, that Charlotte was going to be called up to Raw to be a sidekick to Bad News Barrett because
He just won King of the Ring.
he won King of the Ring, and Charlotte is also the name of the royal baby,
Yeah.
so they're going to have her do like some English gimmick or something. But I guess right before they were going to do it, they scrapped it, and I don't know why I didn't say, but they said they scrapped the idea. So I don't know if it was true or not, but I hope there's some reason they're going to make her English.
I mean, it would kind of make sense. It would give her a way to get into the Fed with somewhat of a storyline with established guy already. So
yeah, but she's Ric Flair's daughter.
She's Ric Flair's daughter.
What else do you need to establish?
And they name her
Charlotte.
Charlotte because North Carolina Charlotte.
They just don't want to.
And I can't see her doing like an English accent and shit. Like,
they've already had her. Like she had a couple matches on Raw, didn't she? I think she had.
Yeah, she did.
And she's one of the
I think
women.
She wrestled Natty, I think.
Yeah,
she had an NXT title too. So.
And she's one of the women. I think they called her up. It wouldn't take much to get her over with the crowd.
No.
You know, she's athletic, and I mean she's the whole package. I think she's.
I don't understand why they wouldn't just team her up with Natalia.
Well, she's doing that tag team thing right now. So that's
my question is, does this royal baby come from the reptilian bloodline of the royal family? Stay tuned for Real Alien.
That's the episode of Real Alien Talk.
Then they should get Natalia and Ric Flair's daughter, and maybe get Tasha Blanchard and start like a woman's Four Horsemen type thing.
No, I'm totally. If they got Blanchard and then they got Charlotte, like that would make sense.
Well, Natalia, because she's a legacy also. Maybe start like
or get two younger girls that you want to pull up or something. But I think
like
not dressing Charlotte as Ric Flair's daughter is just dumb.
Yeah.
Like she looks like Flair.
It could be Flair just wants some money and they're not giving the right amount of money for him to appear with her. Or
yeah, I don't understand the recent thing. Think about the lineage and history, family legacies, and now all of a sudden they're all about the family legacies with the Samoans.
Yeah,
they're pushing the Android family. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they did push him.
He looks like fucking
when
Mr. Perfect. I mean, you can't deny it.
When he got the Intercontinental title, they pushed it that was his father who had it. And they even went back to the throwback title.
But they originally debuted him as McGillicuddy.
Yeah.
And then it was just in the age of the internet, it was everywhere. And then they finally admitted it and gave him some weird hodgepodge of his family name.
Seems as though they half want to acknowledge the family histories and then like half don't.
Yeah, and
it's mainly about the ownership of name.
And I understand the guy doesn't look like him, but when the son or daughter looks like that person, are you fucking kidding me? Like, come on.
Yeah, think about how hard it was and how long it took Bray Wyatt to get over.
Yeah.
Remember, he was Husky Harris. And, I'm still convinced that was a rib because he didn't have chiseled abs. They called him Husky. And he just floundered and couldn't really go anywhere, and then went back to NXT and reinvented himself as an Appalachian cult leader, and now he's a superstar.
Yeah.
But to acknowledge like families, like it's cool for people that have watched wrestling for 30 plus years, and now you get to see people's children that you watched. But I mean, at the same time, they don't really want to go that direction to acknowledge families.
I agree with you. And most people, what makes you a wrestling fan, I believe, is when you ask most people, is the fact that they grew up watching it. With like a relative, so you grew up years watching it. So a legacy would be important, I would feel too.
And family legacies in wrestling has been going on for centuries. I mean, you've had tons of guys who had a junior brought in or a son, or this was, even if they weren't actually family members, it's still a very strong storyline in pro wrestling.
Wrestling, you never quite know.
You never quite know.
You do, but you're led to.
Here's a great generational family legacy story. My dad, not really a wrestling fan. He's kind of a casual fan, kind of, channel surfing. He'll stop on wrestling, kind of casually keeps up with it.
He knows the big names.
Yeah. And because he's older and he still thinks that like Stone Cold and The Rock are like new guys, because he remembers the older guys.
Oh, my uncle thinks Rick Rude to this day is still the greatest wrestler. I'm like, dude, he hasn't wrestled in decades, But yeah, it's funny from his perspective as a casual, not big fan. I'll bring that up to him like, oh, so and so, that's his kid, and oh, hey, remember so and so, that's his kid, and my dad loves that shit.
Right.
I think they can relate automatically to that person. It's like. So I understand if you don't want to do it, but when you look exactly like that parent, you get. Sorry. Well, if you didn't want to do it, don't be go build houses. Don't be a wrestler.
Yeah. Just how cool is that to see? Just be a longtime fan of wrestling, to be able to see people's children that you were a fan of before, and now be a fan of the children.
And you reap some of the benefits of knowing how to get into the business and have a hand in the business. So don't take advantage of that and complain that like, oh, I don't want nothing to do with that, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's emotional connection. It's like going to your pizza shop, like, oh, I remember your grandfather used to make us pizza.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Junior, this is great.
It's a social thing. You
and
automatically relate.
As soon as that guy's not there, people are like, oh, the pizza's not the same.
Yeah. No, how many bars goes down?
When I go into Little Caesars, they never do that. I don't.
You want to bring up Sting?
You go to the one that Kmart.
Bring up Caesars and I'll bring up Sting.
All right.
That's disgusting.
Yes,
This
sir,
ain't
you two.
we gotta get back on track here. So we're really short on time here.
Derailed.
So one of the other news things I thought was kind of funny was AAA announces a major English pay-per-view trios tournament with teams from TNA, Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, All Japan, and more. And Gigi, you and I looked at the list of the teams, and it's obvious that one is set up to win. And maybe it's because it's named Team Dream Team.
Yeah, they're billing them as the Dream Team.
Beefcakes on it?
Where's the kazoo?
But all the other ones are a mix of like TNA, New Japan, Noah, Lucha Underground, but there has to be one team that,
Yeah, the Dream Team, for those who haven't heard this announcement, are probably the 3 biggest luchadors in the world. Rey Mysterio, Alberto, formerly Del Rio, now El Patron, and Mystices, the original Sin Cara, and he was known as Mystico before that in Mexico. So yeah, you have, Sin Cara, the old Sin Cara, it's very confusing for those who don't know. But yeah, Mystico was Triple H's first pet project when he took over developmental. He signed Mystico, who was the biggest international star out of Mexico.
And it didn't work well.
And yeah, he just never translated well. He didn't speak English, and you want to work for WWE, you should probably learn English. I know that sounds, quasi-racist, like something JBL would say, but he's working for an American company and working with guys who speak English and never really tried to learn the language, and that's why he's known on the internet as Botchkara.
By all accounts, he was pretty hard-headed and didn't feel he needed to learn English.
He was a star in Mexico. He's the biggest star in the world in Mexico, so he felt he should have been treated that way in America, and wasn't.
He thought.
So they replaced him, put somebody else in the Sin Cara mask, and he's been great, and now having a nice run as half of the Lucha Dragons. But so Mystico, now known as Mystices. It's very confusing. Guys change names too much. But Rey Mysterio, Alberto. The 3 biggest names in Lucha Libre.
And all the other teams are like mixed hodgepodge.
Yeah, it's some guys from Mexico, some guys from Japan. Like the TNA and Ring of Honor guys, it's not true TNA. It's not a true team TNA because they have random Lucha Underground guy in the team. And the Ring of Honor team is not a true Ring of Honor team because they have random Lucha Underground guys thrown in.
I mean, I could see the team with Blue Demon Jr., Dr. Ragnar Jr., and El Sor. That team will probably go pretty far because that's a
that's big names. Team. But those aren't big names to the American English-speaking audience.
Yeah, but they're selling to Mexican audience.
No, they're selling. They're trying to sell it to American.
Yeah, it's English commentary with the Lucha Underground announce team. It's going to be Stryker and Vampiro on announce.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's just obviously one team, but
yeah, Matt Hardy is in this tournament. Mr. Anderson is in this tournament. Johnny Mundo, the former John Morrison. Drew Galloway, who's had a great renaissance. He's really, after getting released from WWE was the best thing to happen to him.
I think he is the ICW champion in England right now.
I'm not sure. I know he has racked up a few belts and is looking impressive on TNA right now. So yeah, he's had a career rebirth as of late.
Another news thing was we got just a couple minutes here to wrap up. Another thing that we thought was kind of interesting was TNA had this big announcement they're going to go to China, and a few weeks before they're going to actually leave, they don't go. There's no explanation for this, but stuff that I've read, it seems like talent is kind of pissed off because
the
roster paydays.
They were relying on that tour. They had that money, like, hey, that's my paycheck that week. And now they've had a payday taken out from under them, so now the guys are scrambling to get bookings. So it may work out really well for independent feds. All the TNA guys are scrambling to fill their calendar.
And I think it would have been a great thing for them to get into China. It's a huge market that, I know WWE's trying to get into it, but if TNA was like, hey, we're going to go to China, that could revamp their whole product, you know, and stuff. So
speaking of Caleb Conley, really quickly, coming up on Ludus, he did a very successful tour of China.
Oh,
just
really?
in the last year, yeah.
Oh.
It's a huge market for wrestling right now.
But leading the TNA talent and stuff, we kind of lucked out that we got Abyss now at Rockstar.
Yeah, it's actually two current TNA guys. One half of the American Wolves and the Monster.
Abyss.
So we have Abyss and Davey Richards are both going to be in the house, both vying for championships at Rockstar Pro. Indie wrestling fans, think about that. Dave Christ versus Davey Richards under American Luchacore rules. That match is going to be crazy. And then Abyss versus Mathis in a Monsters Ball.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be good. We'll go into a little more depth the next Punks and Pinfalls to run. We're really run on time right now, so I guess we'll see everybody later and everything.
Ludus next week.
Ludus next week.
May 15th.
You dark fool, contemplate the sea. It's nothing